As we know, a website is nothing but a collection of interlinked web pages. So using hyperlink also, you can actually navigate from one page of a website to another. But if programmatically it is required, like after a particular operation you want to go to some other page, for example, as soon as you submitted your form, you want to go to another page which will give you confirmation like your data has been saved. So in any such scenarios, you can actually go for the page redirect in JavaScript, and here we have a method of Windows object called location. And inside this location method, you can actually pass a string parameter which will be a URL of a particular location where you want to go. So on a particular event like button click, as soon as this method will get called, your page will be redirected to that particular location. So let's see practically how this window.location works and what are their different parameters and overloadings available. So in this particular program, I am simply changing the location of one page to the another page. So in this particular page, what I am doing is I have simply placed a button with the text redirect me, and when you will click, this will call the redirect function. And inside this redirect function, what I have done is I have simply called this window.location property. It will simply change the location of your page, and whatever page you have specified will be shown to the user. So when I'll execute this, you can see I can also do that on a particular timeout basis. As you may have seen, like when you get a particular page, you will be shown some ads, and after that particular time, after some particular time, like maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds, the actual site is there, means it will automatically redirect you to the actual website after that advertisement. So I can do that as well. So for that I don't need this button. I'll remove this text, or I'll write something like you will be redirected in 5 seconds. Alright, and what I'll do is I'll call this function on the load method, like on load. I'll not call it directly, I'll call the timeout function, which will actually do the trick. Basically this timeout function will call this redirect function, redirect. Alright, and let's put them in single quotations as I already have a double quotes. Alright, and now I'll do that after 5000 milliseconds. So this particular redirect function will be called on the load after 5000 milliseconds, because as soon as the body will get loaded, it will call this timeout function, and this timeout will give a callback to this redirect function after 5 seconds. So let's refresh the page. So this is the message which I have passed here. Alright, so it's not there. Let me check the code. Alright, actually there is some set timeout function is there rather than this timeout. There is a set timeout function which will do that particular task which I was just talking about. Now I'll call this set timeout, and let's refresh this page again. So maybe after 5 seconds I'll be redirected, and yes, as you can see, now I'm here in this website again. So this is how you can implement the page redirection while using the JavaScript.
In this video, we shall get acquainted with the basic syntax of PHP language.
Let us now write a simple hello world application in PHP and see how it can be run from the command line. PHP statements, or the block of one or more than one PHP statements, are put inside these two lines, less than question mark PHP. This marks the beginning of the PHP code, and greater than question mark greater than marks the end of the PHP code. So in between these two, I am just writing a single statement, echo hello world. Echo and print, these are the two PHP keywords which are almost used similarly to display the output on whatever the output device that is in use. Since we are going to use this or execute this code from the command line, our command prompt or the console terminal will be our output device, so on which you expect this hello world to be printed. So after writing this number of statements, just save this file as hello.php. So I have already saved this file as hello.php. Now you open the command prompt and go into the directory in which this file has been saved. So this is the folder in which this hello.php is present. So before executing this script from the command line, you have to ensure that the php.exe, the PHP executable, the folder in which this php.exe is provided or present must be in the path of your operating system. So if it is already there, then all you have to do is to execute this hello.php from the command line by saying php hello.php. So what happens? The statements inside this PHP script will be executed. Incidentally, there is only one statement, echo hello world. So I should get the hello world message being printed. So that's how you can execute a PHP script from the command line. Okay. So this demonstration will show you how to execute a hello world application as a web page. So for that purpose, I have written this HTML code. Remember that any HTML code or HTML script can be saved as a PHP file. But if you want to include a certain PHP code or PHP instructions inside the HTML, then you have to use this line as the mark of beginning of the PHP block of statements, less than question mark and PHP, and in order to denote that the PHP script is over, it should be marked by the question mark greater than, inside which you can write as many as number of PHP statements as you want. Here I am just using one echo hello world, and this hello world is surrounded by the heading tag, right? And this page or this HTML script in which a PHP part is included is saved as hello.php on the document's root of our PHP web server, PHP enabled web server. It may be XAMPP or it may be WAMP or it may be any web server that you may want to use. So write this script, save it in the folder which is marked or which is configured as the document root of your web server. Okay. Now after having done this, start your web server, call it as a local host, because the name of the web server on your machine will anyway be called as localhost. If you want or if it is needed, configure your port number. Default port number is 80, but if it is already occupied by any other web server, change it to whatever you want. Particularly 8080 is the alternative port number that is used. Okay, so perform this, save this file, start your web server, and now open the browser and visit this page. So the web server is running. I am just giving the URL as localhost hello.php. I should get the hello world message. Remember that the script also carried a title as PHP test that is appearing here, and hello world echo hello world statement had a h1 tag used. So hello world is being displayed in the heading format. So this is how a hello world application executed as a web page that can be done using the web server that we are going to use. Okay.
In this video, we shall see the web concepts as they are used in a PHP program.
So what is the difference between the client side process and the server side process? That I will try to explain with the help of this example. This is a simple HTML code. I have saved this as webconcepts.php on the document root of my web server. This line is a plain HTML which uses the bold and paragraph tags. Okay, so this is a static text. Now this is the JavaScript code. When this part is executed by the browser, it will call this document.write function and return the value of the date function. What this will give you? It will give you the current date as present in the client's computer. On the browser is running on the computer which is the client, and what is the date as per the client's computer, that will be displayed. And after the execution of this code, the browser will encounter this. This is the embedded PHP code. So as soon as it encounters this PHP part will be executed by the server on the server. So what it will display? It will echo server's date is and the return value of this date function. Now this date will be as per the server's computer, as per the date that is stored inside the server's computer. Okay, so incidentally in this case both the client script, that is the JavaScript code, and the PHP code are being executed by the same physical computer, but this is the browser which is the client and this is the local host which is the server. Okay, so you may not find the difference between the output of this date and this date, but suppose that this code is placed on a server and it is being accessed by a remote client. So therefore, and that remote client may be in a different time zone altogether. So in that case, this client date may show a different result and this server's date may show a different result. But in here now in our demonstration both will be the same because both are executed on the local host. Okay. So what is the output of this program, that we will see. So there you go, the server is running and I have given the URL as webconcepts.php, client side and server side script. This is the HTML text that is being displayed. This is the output of that JavaScript that I was talking about, and this is the output of the PHP code. Okay, so remember that this may be different if in the real server situation the code is hosted on a server and the client is somebody else which may be at different location, which may be having a different time zone. So this date reported and this date reported may be different in a real situation, but since we are using a local host, both are showing the same January 17, January 17. Okay, so that is the way in which client side script can be embedded inside HTML using JavaScript. Server side script is your PHP.
In this video, we shall see how the input output operations are executed in the console mode for a PHP program. So console IO.
So here we perform simple console input output operations using the fscanf and fprintf functions. This program can be run from the command prompt you giving the php.exe path. Okay, so fscanf is the function which accepts input from the stream. Here the stream is stdin, which is a standard input stream which is defined in PHP, and it is going to accept the data from the standard input device into the variable called as a, and because the data that is input is going to be stored in the form of integer, I am using the format specifier as %d. So if you are familiar with the scanf function in C, you will be able to understand this. So fscanf, stdin is the stream from which the input is read into the variable a. using the format specifier %d for integer. Same statement or same syntax is also used for reading the data into B. It is also reading the input from the stdin, that is the standard input stream, into B in the form of integer. This is the simple formula for calculation of area, which is length into breadth. And now you want to redirect the value of C towards the std out. So fprintf function displays the output or writes the data into this stream. This is the standard output stream. So area is equal to %d format specifier is used to display the value of C in integer form. So this is a very simple demonstration of console input output in PHP in console mode. So we'll go to the command prompt and execute this program PHP area.php from the command line. Okay. So this is the directory in which this area.php is stored, and the execution is simple: php area.php. Provided php.exe is in the path of our system, this area.php will be executed. First statement is fscanf, enter the length, I give some number, enter the breadth, I give some other number, area is equal to 200. So that is how a console input output operations can be done using the standard library functions fscanf and fprintf. Of course, fscanf and fprintf can have, here in this case the streams are predefined streams, we are using std in and std out. Instead of that, the streams could be any file stream, so that we will see in our next discussion. But for the time being, this is the console input output operation.
In this video, we'll have a look at the different arithmetic operators that are available in PHP language.
So let us verify the behavior of arithmetic operators with the help of this PHP script. This PHP script starts here. In the beginning, there are two variables, a is equal to 42 and b is equal to 20, and then we are performing the different arithmetic operators one by one $C is equal to $A plus $B. The values of a plus b will be added and the result will be stored in C. So you should get addition operation result is equal to 42. Similarly, here it will be 22. Here the multiplication will be 840. Here the division is expected to be 2.1. Whereas the mod or modulus operation 42 divided by 20, the integer division is 2. This will increment the value of a was 42, it will become 43, and then again if I immediately decrement it, it should be again 42. So that is the expected output of this program. If I save it on the document root of my XAMPP server, that is htdocs, the name of the script will be arithop.php. So open the browser after starting the server, of course, and give the address localhost 8080 arithop.php, and then see whether the same expected result is obtained. So this is the browser's page, the same address that has been given, arithop.php. Addition is 62, subtraction 22, multiplication 840, division 2.1, mod 2, increment and decrement. So that is how the result will be displayed. So this is the behavior of our arithmetic operators.
In this video, we shall see what are the comparison operators that are defined in PHP.
In this example, the comparison operators in PHP, they have been demonstrated. So this is where the PHP script starts, and in the beginning we have defined two variables a and b equal to 42 and 20 respectively. So all the the comparison operators are being used here. For instance, here $a is equal to $b. This is the comparison operator checking the equality of the two operands. Now remember that all the comparison operators return either true or false value. So if this is true, then I want the first statement to be printed or displayed on my browser. A is equal to B. Otherwise, that means if this result of this comparison operation, equality operation, is false, then I should get the output A is not equal to B. Now the same technique is used for all the operators. This is greater than. I am checking whether A is greater than B. If true, then this will be printed, because in our case A is indeed greater than B. So therefore I expect this line to be printed. A is less than B? No. So therefore A is not less than B. The else part will be executed. Of course, the use of conditional statements if else, that will be demonstrated in some of the other videos. But here again the inequality operation is being tested. If the value of this expression A not equal to B is true, which is in fact it is true, A is not equal to B, so therefore I will get the output as A is not equal to B. Similarly, greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. So these are the comparison operators: equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So we shall save this file PHP script as comp.op.php in the document server of the XAMPP server, that is htdocs, and open the script in the browser when the server is already running. So let us see how the output, whether it is as per our expectations or not. Right. So there you go, the test 1, which tests the equality, whether A is equal to B, A is greater than B. This is true, so therefore it will print the true part. It will also print the true part. A is not less than B, A is not equal to B, and the values of the operators greater than or less than or equal to B. This is as per our expectation. So that's how the comparison operators are used in a PHP script.
In this video, I'll explain to you the different assignment operators in PHP.
Okay, so this PHP script uses all the different assignment operators. So to begin with, I have defined these two variables a and b equal to 42 and 20 respectively. So the basic assignment operator is equal to. So what this will do, it will perform the expression on the right hand side. That means the addition of a and b will be done and it will be assigned to c. So it is a basic assignment operator. Result will be 62. Then I am using this plus equal to operator. In fact, all these plus equal to, minus equal to, star equal to, slash equal to, and mod equal to, these assignment operators are really what you can call a cumulative assignment operators. That means what? This plus equal to is really equivalent of saying C is equal to C plus A. So if the value of C has become 62, so C plus A will become 104, and that will be assigned to C. So the result of this C plus equal to A should be equal to 104. Same thing is true with this minus equal to, which is equivalent to saying C is equal to C minus A. So anyway, the C had become 104 here as a result of this. So here it will again be back to 62. So subtract and assignment operation result should be equal to 62. Similarly, star equal to is multiply C by A and assign back to C. So it should be 104 multiplied by 62 multiplied by 42 will be 2604. That should be the result. Similarly, the divide and assign operator, the result should be 264 divided by 42. So divide and assignment operation result, I expect it to be equal to 62. And finally, the mod operation C mod equal to A, that is really equivalent to C equal to C mod A. Our C will finally C should have become actually, as a result of this operation, 62. So 62 mod 42. 62 divided by 42 is 1 and remaining is 20. So mod operation anyway results the remaining value. So the output should be 20. So that is my expected behavior. Let me see. What I will do, I will save this script on the document folder htdocs and open it from the server by giving the address localhost 8080. The name of the script is assignop.php. So let me open the browser and see the output of this PHP script. So there you go. The addition operation result is 62, which is 42 plus 20. C is equal to C plus A 104. C is equal to C minus A, multiplication, cumulative division, and finally the cumulative mod. So these are this is the behavior of all the cumulative assignment operators in PHP.
In this video, we shall see a very typical operator called as conditional operator.
Now in this script, the use of the conditional operator in PHP is demonstrated. Actually, the conditional operator is also called as the ternary operator because it requires three different operands for the operation. And the use is as per this statement. Here the logical expression is put inside this bracket $a greater than $b. Now this logical expression will be either true or false. If this is true, then the statement after the question mark will be executed. If this is false, then the statement after the colon will be executed. So if I am saying result equal to a greater than b question mark a colon b, so that means what will happen? If this expression is true, then a will be assigned to result, otherwise b will be assigned to result. So it is as if it is a short form of a regular if statement. If a greater than b, then result equal to a, otherwise or else result equal to b. So this is the behavior of this conditional operator. So we shall put this script on the document server, a document root of our server, and open it in the browser. So the output is as per our expectation. Initially a greater than b, result equal to a greater than b, a colon b. So result will be 20, and a less than b question mark a colon b, result will be equal to 10. So this is the conditional operator in PHP.
The function that you define to which the arguments can be passed or arguments have to be passed, the arguments can also be passed by reference. So what is the call by reference mechanism in PHP?
Okay, so this PHP script is written to demonstrate the use or to demonstrate the mechanism of calling a function by reference in PHP. Okay, so this is the function and this is the calling environment. Now the default method of calling a function is call by value, in the sense that the value of the actual argument that you pass, the value will be stored in the formal arguments that you declare in the function definition. But if you want to pass the reference of the calling or rather the actual argument, then you have to prefix the symbol and to the name of the formal parameter or formal argument. So, and then use those variables inside the function. As a result, what will happen? Whatever changes that you may perform in the formal argument, that those changes will be reflected in the actual argument in the calling environment. So, this you treat this as the main function of your PHP, and this is the swap function. So, inside this calling environment, I am declaring the two variables as a and b equal to 10 and 20, and these two variables are sent to the function swap. But then the swap function has two formal arguments x and y, to which the ampersand or and is attached. So, what will happen? This x in swap function will become the reference of this a, and this y will become the reference of this b. So, if any changes take place in the values of x and y, those changes will be reflected back in the values of a and b. So, that is what the call by reference mechanism does. So, what we are doing? You are sending the values 10 and 20 to this swap function. X and y will become the references of a and b. This is actually the swapping mechanism by taking a temporary variable t is equal to x, x is equal to y is equal to t. This is the well known mechanism of interchanging the values. After the function is over, the control will come back to this, and after coming back, if you again see what are the values of a and b, you will find that they are interchanged to a will become 20 and b will become 10. Okay, so this is what you should expect when the function is called by reference, by sending the reference and using the variable which is a reference to the variables in the calling environment. Okay, so this is the expected output. Before swap it was a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. After swapping, a should become 20, b should become 10. Okay, so let me run this program. So, let us open that swap.php in the browser and see whether the output is according to our expectation. There you go. Before swap, a was 10, b was 20. After swapping, a 20 and b 10. So, that is the effect of calling a function by sending the reference.
In our discussion with the functions, what are the default arguments to a function?
So, how to stipulate the default arguments in a function definition, that we shall study with the help of this example. So, in this example, the function that is defined is percentage, and it has been designed to accept 4 arguments from the caller or calling environment, and the arguments are PCM and total TTL. Okay. So, the idea is that when the function is called, it will send the values of PCM, but the assumption is that generally the marks of PCM, physics, chemistry, mathematics, they are out of 100. So, the total marks are generally 300. Okay, so if they are out of 300, generally they are 300. So, therefore, there should not be a need to specify that the marks are out of 300. So, the TTL variable is defined to have 300 as its value by default. So, unless otherwise specified, the value of the variable TTL will be 300. Okay, so taking these PCM value and the default value, the calculation will be done, the percentage will be calculated. So, while calling the function, I am just sending 3 values 50, 60, 70, assuming that these marks are out of 100 respectively of PCM, and therefore, the total is out of 300. The calculation will be performed by the function percentage is equal to 60. Okay, so this is taking the default value of the variable total. But in the second case, in the second call to the same function %, I am sending 4 parameters, 4 values. Value of this will become P, this will become C, this will become M when the function will be called. The actual parameters will be exchanged in the formal parameters. But these marks are not out of 100, but they are out of 50, 25 out of 50, 30 out of 50, 35 out of 50, etc. So therefore the total marks are 150. Okay, so taking the 150 as the value of total instead of 300. So if the fourth parameter is specified, the default value of total is equal to 300 will be overwritten by 150. That will be taken up for the calculation, and the calculation will result into percentage equal to, in this case also, it will be equal to 60. Okay, so this is how the default parameter is specified and eventually used in the function. So let us run this program and see the output of two different calls to the function, percentage function. First call uses the default value, second call uses the specified value. So let us run it. So this is my browser in which I am giving the URL of default arg.php, and see the result. First call PCM is 50, 60, 70, total marks are 300, that is the default value. We are not given, or we have not mentioned the value while calling, percent equal to 60. Second call PCM is 25, 30, 35, we have specifically mentioned the value of the TTL as 150, percentage is 60. Okay, so that's how the value of the default value to a parameter in a function can be defined and used, right?
Another way of sending and accepting the parameters inside a function is variable length arguments.
In this example, I will show you how you can write a function with, or which can accept any variable number of arguments. So the name of the function is average. Even though I am going to show how to pass variable number of arguments, the function actually receives no arguments. Okay. PHP has a built-in function called as funcGetArgs, function get arguments. So this function will retrieve the arguments that are passed to the function in the form of an array. The name of the array is args. So all the arguments that will be passed to this average function, even though there are no formal arguments mentioned, this function can retrieve the number of arguments sent to it in the form of an array, and the name of the array I have used is args. I am just printing it out for confirmation. Args, if I print it, all the arguments that are received by that will be printed in the form of an array. And then there is another built-in function called as funcnum-args, function number of arguments. So how this will return an array, and this will return the size of the array. Okay, so taking the advantage of this function number of arguments built-in function, which will result into the total number of subscripts in the array, I can now run a loop, traditional loop for traversing the array from I is equal to 0, so 0th index up to the last upper bound index. Okay, every time increment the value of I by 1. Just run a cumulative sum over it. I am using the plus equal to operator to cumulatively add the values of all the parameters that I send into a function, into a variable called sum, which is initially defined as assigned to be equal to 0. So this will perform all the addition to the sum of all the numbers. I divide it by the count, so I will get the average. Okay, so this is the function. I am now sending what, 5 arguments to this average function. Those 5 arguments will be stored in the array and count will be equal to 5. Run a loop and perform the cumulative sum and divide by the size of the array to get the average. I don't have to change or do any changes to this function if the call to the function sends instead of 5 maybe 10 or 100 argument 100 values also. I don't have to make any changes to it. So that's how it is beneficial to define a function with variable arguments in such a situation. Okay, so let us run it and see the result of this function with variable arguments. So in the browser, let us open this script var.args.php. It is sending 5 values to the function and we will get the average of that. That's it. Array received is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the subscripts 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Run a loop over it, perform the sum and calculate the average. So that is an example of a function with variable arguments.
So finally, in the discussion of our functions, the final point remains it is about the return type of the function.
Now this is the PHP code or PHP script which will show how a return statement can be given in the function definition and what is the effect of the return statement or return keyword rather. Now when a function is called, any function can be called from anywhere, from any other function. What we are doing, we are calling a particular function from our what we say as the calling environment. So from this the function is called and this is the definition of the function. So whenever the call is encountered, a function is encountered, the control of the program jumps to the function, executes these statements, and as the function ends, the control of the program returns back to the calling environment. So that is the well-known mechanism of calling a function. From the call to the function, the control jumps to that function, the body of the function is executed and after that the control returns back to from where the function was called. So the function is anyway returning. So even if there is no explicitly mentioned return keyword or statement in the function does return to the place where it has been called from. The point is whether the function returns empty-handed or returns with a certain value. So if you want to make it return with a certain value, use the return statement and in front of it mention the parameter to be returned. Okay. So this function we have already seen, average function receives that many number of arguments, it performs the calculation and calculates the average. At the end of the function, I want the function to return to its called position with a certain value. So I say return AVG. So this will return the AVG from here. Whatever value it has returned, it will be stored in this AVG variable which is in the calling environment. So from this function the value will be returned here and it will be printed here. Okay, so that's how a return statement can be specified as the last statement in the function. Even though there are any statements after the return, they will not be executed because the control will be as it is returned from there to the calling environment. Okay, so I have saved this as return ret value.php. Let me now go to the browser, give this URL and see the result. Result is going to be the same. It will be printing the value, the average, but the mechanism is returning the value from the function to the calling environment. Okay. So in the browser I am giving ret value.php. As before, the variable arguments are stored in an array. That array is printed. The function performs the cumulative addition and calculation of average and sends back the result to the place where from where it was called, and there the value is printed. So the function call can send any number of arguments, and the function itself can send a return value. That is how the mechanism of exchanging the data between functions can be used. Okay.
In this video, I'll tell you about the break statement in PHP.
So let me now show you the use of break statement in a loop. Actually, we have already used this break keyword, but it was used in association with the switch case. And after the statements in a particular case are over, you generally use a break statement as the last in that particular case in order to take the control out of the switch block. Here also, the break statement is used to terminate or abandon the loop before its designated number of repetitions. So for example, here I am using a while loop, and the control of this while loop is done by this variable y, which is set to equal to 0, and this loop is expected to repeat till y less than 10. So every time when y is incremented and the loop is repeated, normally this loop is expected to run 10 times. Okay. Inside the loop, what I am doing, I am generating a random number between 1 to 10 and assigning it to x, and I am just printing it out. Had this statement not been there, then what would have happened? It would have generated 10 random numbers and 10 number of repetitions would have taken place. But I want the loop to be terminated as soon as, or as and if x is found to be equal to 5. So x being the random number, it may never occur within the 10 number of repetitions. So only different 10 numbers will be printed. But if at all x happens to be equal to 5, the loop will be terminated. So there is a possibility that 10 different random numbers, none of which is equal to 5, will be printed. And there is also a possibility that after generating one or two or a couple of random numbers, x happens to be equal to 5, the loop will be terminated. So that is the purpose of break statement inside the loop, to take the control out of the current loop and abandon the loop. That's what. Okay, so I have saved this file as break.php. Now I will run this file from the server. Okay, the server is running and the URL is localhost break.php. There you see the loop goes on running till it encounters 5. So it may be the case that only the second occurrence is equal to 5. So the loop will be terminated before it reaches the 10 number of repetitions. There you see. Every time the different result may appear because the random number will be equal to 5 at any number of repetitions. So the bottom line is that the break statement is used to abandon or terminate the loop before it completes its pre-decided or designated number of iterations.